glad that you're here today. Thank you for taking the time to share your story. Chris, let's start with you. The campaign chair role is a very big and important responsibility. So why did you want to serve as the campaign chair?
Well, first of all, welcome everybody. Shout out to everybody who's joining us virtually. So glad you're here with us today. As Christy said, my name is Chris Barta. I'm proud to be a part of Marvin in our community here, and I'm also very proud to be the volunteer campaign chair for 2020. First off, I also want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this year's campaign. I'm grateful to everybody here and everybody online. You know, many of us, like me, have been involved with the United Way for many years, and some of us have been, are new to the United Way. Maybe this is your first year. We all have different reasons why we get involved, and I want to share a few of mine. First of all, our United Way knows our community needs. They have the unique position of seeing all the challenges of our local community, and with that knowledge, they strategically invest the dollars raised into programs that will have the best long-term impact on people in poverty. And so I know that our investment is spent well. Second, our United Way is run like a business, and that might sound weird, but the United Way is run like a successful company. I'm an engineer at heart. I like strategy. I like developing plans to achieve those strategies, bringing the right people together to facilitate the execution of those plans, and then measuring the results to see how we did. The United Way team is extremely good at all this. They see the needs of the community, they bring the right people together, they solve the problem, and then measure it to make sure that we have lasting change. And I enjoy getting to be a part of a team like this that is really, really good at what they do. Finally, our United Way's work changes lives. Seeing the kids' eyes light up when they receive one of those new backpacks, hearing that we're a part of programs like Tap Ride, which is a new service helping people to get to work who couldn't before, and knowing that we're laser focused on reducing homelessness. Mm-hmm. At the root of every story, there's a person, and it's one of our neighbors whose life is changed by whatever that event is. And I like that, mm-hmm. we get to be a part of helping that, mm-hmm. and being a part of that lasting change. So again, I can't think of a better reason to do what we do.
I completely agree, Chris. Thanks for sharing. And we've heard a lot this year that it's going to be a challenging year, but what are your thoughts on the challenge ahead of us?
I like to look at this as a challenge and an opportunity, and so let me explain. None of us in our lifetime have seen anything like this pandemic. It's changing all of us, our jobs, our routines, our families, our social habits. Our days look dramatically different than what they did, say, 3 months ago. And with all this change, now more than ever, we are needed to rally and inspire our community to give. I think we're up to the challenge, and this is where I think the challenge is our opportunity. In this time of change, I see people caring for one another. I see people identifying what is the most important. I see people going above and beyond. Mm-hmm. In times of crisis, time and time again, our community comes together. And this is one of those times. And this is the opportunity for us to do something special. More than in any other year, we need to see and understand the needs of our neighbors, see and feel why our support as a community is so needed. We need to inspire others to invest in a meaningful change, and we need to be that spark.
You were that spark alongside of 700 other volunteers, Chris, when you worked on the school supply drive this year. So tell us a little bit about your experience volunteering at the school supply drive.
Sure. A few weeks ago, I got to help assemble the backpacks. And again, I really like process. I'm an engineering nerd, I'm sorry to say, but I like the process. I like to see how things get done. Imagine a space about the size of a basketball court, filled with boxes and boxes and boxes of pens and pencils and paper and folders and erasers and those backpacks. Enough stuff to fill 6,000 plus backpacks. Imagine the work to procure all those supplies, sort and load all those supplies into the backpacks, and then distribute them all. And now, due to COVID, imagine revamping that process to do it safely. It was no small task. United Way rallied the community to find innovative solutions. Donors, our schools, the United Way team, over 700 volunteers People like you stepped up to make sure that 6,040 kids got those backpacks. We overcame the challenge by everyone pulling together and playing their part. And I'm always impressed by the work of the United Way, and it's another example of what Living United is all about.
A perfect example of what Living United is all about. So Chris, I would love to hear your reflection and your reaction to the stories we heard about students in our community that Jan and Sarah shared with us today.
Sure. Quick show of hands in the audience, and please weigh in on social media if you're watching there. How many people out there were aware that there's actually a full-time staff member for Fargo Public Schools who's a homeless liaison, and nearly their entire job is to help students who are homeless? How many people knew that position existed? By looking in the audience, the lights are kind of bright here, but it doesn't look like very many people. How many of you imagine that there are more than 237 kids just in the Fargo Public Schools alone living a version of the video that we just watched? Raise your hand. 237. It leaves a pit in my stomach. These kids living in our community right now are our future leaders and maybe our future coworkers. Every child deserves an opportunity to have a successful future. When I think of those kids, I go back to the goal that Tom laid out. Tom said, to work together as a community to prevent 90% of families and children from becoming homeless by 2023. I said this before, at the root of every story, there's a person. And in this case, in Fargo Public Schools alone, it's 237 kids. Mm-hmm. I can't think of a better reason, again, to do what we do. Mm-hmm. So for all those people out there online, and when I look into the audience, let's make the 2020 United Way campaign the best yet. Be unstoppable and live united.
Yes. I agree. We can be unstoppable. We can unite as a community. Chris, thanks for your leadership and that passion for making a better tomorrow for families and children. Rammie, so as a mom, a volunteer, someone who's really active in our community, but also a longtime giver of United Way, why do you give? Tell us more about that reason for you to invest in the community.
Well, it's super easy to tell you about that, Christy, because in one word, I care. And so it's easy to care about a community that you live in. And so my two kiddos are up on the screen there, Jaylee and Rhett, and I want them to be future leaders, and I want to give them the opportunity to become future leaders, but I want that for all kids. And so it really takes a village to raise these future leaders in our community, and I want to be part of everyone else's village, and I want them to be part of mine. So another reason I give to the United Way is because sometimes I can become a little overwhelmed with how many nonprofits our community has, and they all do amazing work, and it's so hard to know all of them at a personal level. And so I trust that the United Way has a process to give my dollars and use my dollars to the best that they can with our community just to better it. And so I love that they kind of act as a broker in that way. And I love that the United Way measures the results from the different nonprofits that they work with and gives us the data back. And so I can see the results and I can see the magic happening. I really appreciate that.
That's powerful. And well, you're also an emerging leader, Rammie. So tell us more about what it's like to be an emerging leader.
The Emerging Leader program is awesome. It's for anybody, so anybody can be involved, and that's the best part. So I would invite anybody who wants to be involved to hit me up or come to an event with me. I think it provides everyone the opportunity to have some personal growth goals and also be active in the community all at the same time, and I think that's important. Specifically, I loved the recent Diversity and Inclusion event, which happened to feature Bremer's very own Colette Campbell, who's up on the screen there. She's an amazing human, and so I loved that, and just in a nutshell, I love that emerging leaders can be for everybody, and it's a great way to stay involved in your community, so highly recommend.
You are always bringing guests to Emerging Leaders events. So her offer is very, very true.
It's true.
Reach out if you want to attend an event with Rammie. Well, thank you, Chris and Rammie, again. You are both extraordinary people, and you inspire me, and I know you inspire many others out in our community. But speaking of extraordinary people, I want to lift up a few other extraordinary people. And in fact, Rammie is one of them. I would like to take some time to recognize our campaign cabinet volunteers. Our campaign cabinet volunteers inspire people to give and get involved, and we couldn't do what we do without them. The next group of extraordinary people to recognize are the Employee Campaign Coordinators, or ECCs. So if you are a proud campaign cabinet volunteer or an ECC, please comment with an emoji that shows your pride. Maybe it's a classic thumbs up, or maybe it's that smiley face with stars for eyes, or maybe it's a tiger. I don't know, but we would love to hear from you. We want to hear your pride and see your pride, so tune in and let us know why you're so excited to be a volunteer with United Way. So Chris, Rammie, again, thank you for sharing your United Way story, but thank you for being a part of the United Way family. We appreciate you both very much.